Today in the crypto space, we see the negativity continue. Bitcoin down below the $68,000 mark, Ethereum below the 2,500, and we can see that the percentages are not looking good. Bitcoin down approximately 2% and Ethereum down in 1.5%. The rest of the crypto space, the altcoins, are feeling the pressure as well. And the question is, how much lower do we go? While Doge shows strength. In today's video, I want to talk about the general market. I want to use Bitcoin as a leading indicator, but more importantly, I want to focus on Bitcoin. Again, Bitcoin as a leading indicator. What is the market up to in the next little while? So you know what? Let's talk about the news. Let's analyze the charts and let's strategize to capitalize. Welcome to the channel. My name is Mike, and let's get right into it, guys. If you're new to the channel, welcome. On the channel, we talk about cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and all the altcoins. Looking for opportunity, whether we go up or down, bearish or bullish, it doesn't matter. All we want to do is stay one step ahead of the market so that we can capitalize on any of the volatility. And if you appreciate the strategy, subscribe to the channel, click the bell so you don't miss out on any of my future videos, including the live streams at 8 p.m. EST, where we talk about crypto news and price action. Guys, if you have any projects you want me to cover here on the channel, feel free to let me know in the comment section below. You can hit me up on the socials. The links are in the description. Better yet, guys, join the Discord. The Discord is where it's at. Lots of good alpha, trade setups, fundamentals, and learning material. The best part is, it's absolutely free. All right, guys, let's begin. Let's see what's going on here. Let's begin by looking at the market cap. We can see the market cap is down a little bit. However, it's still at where it was yesterday. You know, pretty much right around that $2.3, $2.4 trillion mark. We haven't been coming down that much, right? I remember when we were struggling breaking above 2.2, 2.1, and all of a sudden now we're at about 2.3, almost 2.4, and we're, you know, hesitating. I get it. The issue also is I'm seeing the volume look a little bit sporadic here, and of course that's an indication of volatility in the market participation. We can see market participants right now are very volatile. We're getting volume, not getting volume. Are we getting volume on the way up, on the way down? Look at this. It just looks a little bit choppy and a little bit, indecisive. And I like to see trending price action. I like to see trending volume. I like to see reactions that are in confluence, and at the current moment I'm not really seeing that, and this is why I'm taking a break. I'm taking a bit of a break, the next few days to see what happens. I'm not closing any positions. I have some margin positions that, have enough margin to hold me just in case we do get some volatility. No big deal. And of course, we don't know what the elections is gonna bring. We have to be prepared for both case scenarios, both bearish and bullish, because anything could happen here. But ultimately, we know here in crypto land that crypto is here to stay. And ultimately we know that Bitcoin is going to give us a good indication of what the market sentiment is all about. So let's just scrape through the top 100, and of course we'll take a look at Bitcoin. Bitcoin is right now, hesitating at very important levels, guys. Unfortunately, the levels that it's hesitating, the levels that it's kind of playing around with, and the way it's reacting looks very bearish. It looks bearish. I've got to be real about this, right? It doesn't look the greatest, but it's still very hopeful because volatility right now is very, it's induced by emotion and uncertainty, and this is a bit of an issue because we can't really trust price action at the current moment. So it's best to say, okay, fine, it does look bearish, but the reality is the condition at the current moment is one of which we can't trust, and we really need to be prepared for both case scenarios, to the point that sometimes staying neutral, meaning not being in any risky trades, is the best way to do it, because you never know what happens here. Ethereum showing a bit of weakness, making some sideways price action, making slightly lower lows. Not the greatest look, but you can see a lot of the altcoins are okay. Like, they're behaving like expected, right? Obviously more speculative, riskier assets are going to sell off. People want to de-risk, and some projects are looking good based on strong fundamentals. Like Sui's looking okay. It's up 10.6%, guys, in the last 7 days. It's still looking okay. It's going sideways very, very nicely. And as we keep on coming down for the day, not a lot of these altcoins are dipping much lower, right? We're already down 15% on Near Protocol. In the last 24 hours, it's basically going sideways, right? I know it's red, but it's still going sideways for the day, so it's not bad. Even 1 or 2%, no big deal, right? But BitTensor coming down 5%, 20% dip in the last 7 days, guys, that's a pretty good double-digit fire sale. Okay, so I would consider, if you're on the sidelines and you're like Tao and you want to buy some, now's not a bad time to start DCAing for sure, because we could definitely get a nice volatile move to the upside, and at least you have some skin in the game. But what if we do come down? Guess what? You DCA even further, because ultimately the volatility will definitely bounce to the upside eventually. We'll see any volatility in the next 3 days, 2 days. We'll definitely see recovery. So expect volatility, expect recovery, expect that the crypto space will definitely continue to the upside eventually. Caspa, not looking the greatest, made a lower low, guys. You guys know what I feel about Caspa. I'm not going to get into it too much here, but Caspa, in my opinion, is showing negativity because I think it's overvalued, and that's my opinion. We have Celestia still coming down a little bit, 3%. We have OP Optimism down 6.6. That's a pretty big dip. I'm actually questioning why is that the case, right? Optimism, in my opinion, is a lot better than Arbitrum for that case, and we know layer 2s have their purpose. But if Ethereum shows weakness, we have to expect that Ethereum-based projects that rely on Ethereum might be taking a hit as well. So Optimism could be reacting based on the overall sentiment on Ethereum and obviously price action. Phantom on its way down as well. It's down approximately 17%. So we're getting to that double-digit type of dip opportunity. If you're looking for a Phantom bag, it's not bad of a time to start building a bit of a position, especially as we approach horizontal support levels. And let's keep on going down. You can see a lot of dips, a lot of negativity. So we got about 6% here on PopCap. Mantra's been coming down, but not enough, guys. Not enough. Guys, we could be celebrating all day long for a few percent, but reality is Mantra has been on a tear for so long that 4% is nothing. And that goes along with other projects like Phantom, even Thorchain has been doing pretty good in the last bit, but taking a bit of a hit more than expected. And there are a lot of good projects that are coming down, but they've ran up significantly in the last little bit, so it's no big deal. We have Radium up 3.6% today off the Solana hype, of course, and really, guys, a few dips here and there, but today is pretty neutral, slightly bearish, I get it, but fairly neutral. I think it was a lot worse yesterday and the day before, so we got to be clear about that. Is the momentum kind of slowing down, or the bears showing weakness? Are we going to see a continuation to the downside, or are we slowly going to start building a reversal structure for a potential bullish response? That's all we really want, is a bullish response. All right, guys, I know you're here to talk about charts, so let's begin. Let's take a look at what Bitcoin's doing. We'll take a look at Bitcoin because ultimately Bitcoin is a great leading indicator. If Bitcoin keeps on showing weakness, we're going to expect these altcoins to also show weakness. In fact, we should see them sell off hard enough to capitulate those people that are taking too much risk. This is why right now it's very important to have a strategy. Let's take a look at this in a little bit more detail. I can feel the sentiment, even on the Discord. On the Discord, guys, feel free to join. But even on the Discord, people talking very bearish. Bitcoin's coming down. Bitcoin, not looking good. Now, I understand why Bitcoin doesn't look good. It's very clear. However, there's other factors to consider. Now, let's talk about the bearish case scenario, because I think that might be very entertaining for a lot of you guys. You can see that the price has been falling, and on lower time frames like the 1 hour, even the 4 hour, if you want to consider it, it is on a slightly downtrend. It's not really. Honestly, we would have to get really on the 1 hour to really see this downtrend, and you can see this is the trend that a lot of people are fearful of at the current moment. And the only reason why is because we fell below structure. We got back into structure. So let's go back into the daily really quick so you can see what I mean. Is this structure right here? Now, I did align these tops, these wicks very nicely. Now, today I was thinking, now, a lot of people may not be putting this line this way. Some people might be putting it this way. This is the beauty behind TA. You can make up whatever you want to fit your narrative. Okay, so I'm just going to entertain this for a second here. Right? How are people using, in creative ways, are people using these trend lines? It could be here. It could be, if we exclude wicks, we could definitely, maybe come down even to here. This is very possible, guys. Look at that. It looks really, really nice, right? Very creative. But the reality is I like including all wicks. So I'm going to put it right here. And based on that fact, right, we are basically breaking back into the structure. Now, my biggest issue is that maybe some people are doing one of these. And the reality is that in this case, we're still very healthy. We're still looking pretty good. In fact, even leaving it like this is still okay. Reason being is the trend to the upside here on the daily, which is a much bigger trend than the 1 hour that people are fearful of, which is this dip, is not suggesting anything other than the trend being our friend. We're making so far another higher low. and we made a higher high right here. So the trend is our friend. Now, to get bearish, the reality is that we need some confirmation. We need a change of character here. There is none. We need a bullish response to give us a lower high. Once we get that bullish response with a lower high, let's say hypothetically, just to entertain ourselves here, that we go up for another high and we make a lower high, something like that. No big deal. This starts to introduce the reality of a pivot point. Now, if there's bearish divergence right here, even worse. Follow through confirmation, high, lower high, and then coming down for that lower low and breaking below these lows, even worse. And little by little, we start building a very strong reversal pattern. But at this current moment, guys, I'm just making things up. The reality is the trend is your friend. And as long as we stay above this level right here, I would say, okay, 66,000 more or less, maybe even a lower, because we do have some few wicks, maybe a little lower, maybe down to about 65.5. We're still okay because the trend is still our friend. And if you're a trader, you understand the importance of market structure. Currently, here on the daily, the market structure is still intact. And if you start zooming out, even market structure-wise, looking at bigger picture, meaning weekly style, the market structure is still intact. We didn't fall anywhere lower than made lower lows or anything like that here on the daily and on the 4 hour. The only thing that starts to look pretty bad is the 1 hour, because you can see that downtrend, but we're still looking good. Okay, so let's be real about what the market is showing us. We're nowhere near as previous lows as we were before, where we were enduring tons of red down here. The sentiment is at its lowest and the price is not. That's a bit of an issue there, guys. So we need a bit of a attitude adjustment right now based on fact. The fact is the trend is still up and we're still in profit from these lows down here. A lot of people still in profit here on Bitcoin. Okay, I think what's really happening is the altcoin market is inducing a lot of emotion. So what do we expect in the next little while? So what I'm going to do is pause this for a second, and I'm just going to kind of emphasize the lower time frame for a bit. Let's get on the 4 hour. Okay, the 4 hour is where all the emotions is kicking in, because we broke back into the structure on the daily. As you notice, this is that big long trend line that I had. You can see that we broke back in, and traditionally that's a very bearish sign, because technically now all we really need is a proper back test. If you don't want to include this one, maybe this was the back test, this one right here, it could have been, but let's say it's not. Let's say we come down, back test, we get rejected again, and then we come down. That's super bearish, guys, to the point that it could be, you know, a head and shoulder formation, shoulder, head, and then get another shoulder. So let me show you what I mean. Maybe we come down a little bit more. Maybe we get rejected right around here, and then maybe we start looking for the break of this neckline, and then, you know, shoulder, head, shoulder, and then we start coming down for further dips, and we start looking at lower levels for support. Guys, this is possible, but we still need a lower high. This one right here, we need these confirmations. So far, we're not getting any of that. So we got to be careful here getting overly bearish, but we're back into the structure. So a rejection off that line would be super bearish. A fall below the 200 daily would be super bearish. But again, I'm going to pause this as well. I'm going to leave this alone for a second. Let's take a look at the liquidations. Now, I'm going to stretch this out so we can correlate them to the liquidations right now. Based on this dip, and we start looking at liquidations, this is pretty much what we're looking at. Again, let me just quickly go back. We got a spike of volume right here, and a slow progression to the downside. This is a range, this is a level of which people can start looking for trades. For sure, there's people, you know, shorting if we get back up here, and longing once we get back to the bottom of the range at previous price action right around here. So this is a trading range for a lot of people, and we can see that based on liquidation heat map, the liquidation heat map. The reality is that more people right now are interested in shorting if it comes up than they are longing if it comes down. As you can see, there's not a lot of liquidity and leverage at this current level. At these levels, there is. So I'm going to ask you this, market makers, where are you going next? If you want to induce pain in the market, and if you want to basically hunt liquidity to provide liquidity to the market, which way are you going? And guess what, guys? You can see clearly there's a huge incentive in the next little while to see the Bitcoin price come up, get these people liquidated, right? That's what the market wants to do, is hunt liquidity. Now, I'm not saying it has to happen, because traditionally this is a good indication. But if it wasn't for, you know, the volatility brought to us by, you know, the emotions and all of that, by, you know, through the elections, guys, ultimately this would have a lot more validity. But I'm still keeping this in mind because the reality is the market has a mind of its own, and the mindset is usually to induce as much pain as possible and hunt liquidity where it matters. And obviously at this case, it's at about $23,000 back to previous highs. People willing to short there because risk to reward ratio for a short is very high. But if these get liquidated, definitely short squeeze could happen to higher levels. So back to price action. Now that we can see that we do have people willing to short at this level and a little bit right around here, who's to say we can't get a bounce at this level right here and fake all these people out and call this a swing failure pattern? We come down, we get back in, back test and spring, and go back up and maintain the trend. Now, I'm going to quickly go back on the daily, and you can see why I'm saying this is because ultimately the trend is our friend. As you can see, the trend is still intact to the upside. So why couldn't we maintain another higher low, get that bounce, get that recovery, and get back up for another higher high, and maybe get a short squeeze to higher levels? Now, this is an ideal scenario considering that the trend, again, this is the trend line that I'm using to identify this trend. The trend is still our friend. Okay, guys, so we have to respect the trend until proven otherwise, and there's no change of character here. Let's take a look at oscillators for a second. I can see clearly that here on the daily, we're seeing a bit of a momentum rollover, but what's interesting about this momentum is that we did not get severely overbought yet, while the momentum is still trending to the upside, as you can see, right? Why couldn't we see another move to the upside and get above the 70 mark with some strength as we have done in the past? Right? We can see that we came down oversold and we're slowly rolling to the upside. Could we get one more impulsive move and see Bitcoin go up? And could that be the explosive move where we get the massive short squeeze that eventually takes us to higher levels? Now, again, of course, a lot of us are waiting for the good news that's going to happen, in the next 24, 48 hours based on the elections, but that definitely could be the catalyst to see this happen. And coupled with this momentum, rise of momentum, it definitely could happen where we see Bitcoin start exploding. So this is what I'm asking you guys. When are you going to take risk? Risk right now, I guess, based on the fact is that we're waiting for some of the news events to happen. But the reality is eventually you have to ask yourself, when are you going to take risk, right? So we're slowly moving in that regard, looking pretty good. I do see some short-term dips. Now on the 4-hour, we did talk about that we are looking for a full reset in momentum, and we are pretty much there because the last time we got support here. Right, and now we're at that same level as previous. So who's to say that we don't get support here? We could, and we could even get oversold and get back below the 70 and get a further dip. That's fine. But the majority of the move, in my opinion, is already done, in the sense that look at this. This is already significantly dipped from the overbought state, and now we're oversold where we got support before here, and okay, here we got really oversold, but we're still trending to the upside. So on the bigger picture, on the daily, like I showed you. So it could be that the short-term 4-hour dip to satisfy that correction within the trend, like I mentioned, within the trend, we're still upwards trending, it could be done. And we could be looking for a pop to the upside. Now we're getting Class A bullish divergence here on the trend oscillator, still not invalidated. So it looks pretty good on the trend oscillator. And we're in that zone for a potential pivot on the momentum. So 4-hour is the time frame to watch out for here for Bitcoin, because it could be gearing up for a pivot point structure. There's no real sign of divergence other than a potential, not confirmed, but potential Class C bullish divergence. We do see that the momentum is double bottoming right here, while the price action is still falling. That suggests, divergence. Now, there is clear divergence on the trend expansions right here, and sometimes we do see the divergences follow through on the trend and not on the momentum if there is none, and that's all you really need. All you need is one or two indications to build that confluence. So that's not bad whatsoever. So ultimately, what I'm looking for is a scenario where we continue coming down through the structure, right? Because big picture, we're in this type of descending broadening wedge. We keep on staying through the structure. We get a confirmation, back test and rejection, and we keep on coming down. Or we get back above key levels, close daily candles, and spring and call this a swing failure and move on with our lives. Guys, ultimately, this is the name of the game here for Bitcoin. We don't know what's going on. It's time to, just sit back. Don't take too much risk. If you're going to get into any positions, any leverage, get into something with low leverage, with tons of margin, so you don't get liquidated. And that's what I've been doing in the last little whiles, because I expect some volatility, but at the same time, I want to capitalize on any opportunity that comes my way. Guys, if I've offered discord, you any value in this video, do the channel a massive favor, slap the like button. It does really help out with the algorithm. If you want to follow me on the socials, the links are in the description below. Feel free to join the discord, guys. The discord is where it's at. Lots of good alpha, trade setups, fundamentals, and learning material. The best part is it's absolutely free. Take care, guys. See you tonight at 8 p.m. EST, where we talk about crypto news and price action. Have a good one, and don't forget, buy the dip.